Welcome to Personal Development Sunday, day 35 of the 2-Minute Author Challenge. Today's quote comes from Edith Sitwell, who says, "I am patient with stupidity, but not those who are proud of it." Hi there, my name is Christopher Diarmani, and I help authors go from blank page to finished first draft to published book with ease. And what's beautiful about Edith Sitwell's quote is it points out the fact that too often we embrace things that we really shouldn't. We hang on to wrong thinking, incorrect thinking, bad ideas far longer than we really ought to. Now, the thing about stupidity or ignorance or whatever label you want to apply to it is there's a really simple cure, and that's called education. But when someone's prideful about being ignorant, that's really way more dangerous, because when someone hangs on to that kind of stuff, to bad ideas, bad attitudes, negative thinking, it's really, really hard to cure because they get this sort of self-righteous attitude around it. Really dangerous stuff. But thankfully for me, and I hope you, there's a really simple test to check for this character flaw in ourselves. When someone confronts you about a position that you're holding, what is your emotional response? Do you have a calm, rational conversation around this? Or do you get really angry? Do you get upset? Do you get louder as if sheer volume can simply convince someone else that you're right? I mean, I joke about that a little bit, but it's true. If I'm getting angry and upset about something, it's probably not because I'm grounded in truth and love and light and gratitude. It's probably because of something else. So this is a really great way of testing ourselves to see how open we are to new ideas, to viewpoints that may not match our own in that moment. And it's also a great way of finding out whether we're actually willing to learn or not. Because that stupidity that Edith Sitwell talks about is really grounded in this refusal to learn, even though there's lots of information out there. Excuse me. So there's a gazillion examples I could use. I want to use, because we're talking about writing through all these challenges, I want to talk about my position on using a detailed outline. And it's from my position, from my experience, from everything that I've learned over the last 50 years of writing. Writing a book is simply easier, faster, and a more joyous experience when I start with a detailed outline. There's lots of reasons for that. But how did I arrive at that position? Well, I can be a little bit stubborn. Ask my wife. For 15, 20 years, I flat out refused to use an outline. Because my brain said that the really insane thought that I held and refused to let go of for a long time was that taking the time to do an outline took time away from writing, and it was getting in my way. It was hindering me, which is absolute crap. But that was the position that I held. It took me a long time to get over that. But what eventually got me there was the fact that sticking to what I said was working clearly didn't, because through that entire period, I never completed a single book. Not one. So as my wife likes to tell me sometimes, I can be a bit of a slow learner. And this is a great example of that, where I was willing to hang on. I was embracing my stupidity instead of being open to new ideas. But eventually came that point where I realized that smashing my head against this particular wall wasn't working anymore. And so I started researching how to create a proper outline. What were the benefits of it? What were the drawbacks of it? Trying to cover off every single thing I could learn about it. And so I learned how to research and write a detailed outline. And lo and behold, something miraculous happened after that. I was able to use that process, starting with a detailed outline, to write and publish 49 books so far. So when I contrast that with the first 15, 20 years of writing, where I refused to use an outline, and there is zero output of published books, to using an outline and publish 49 books, I would have to be a complete moron not to understand that perhaps one of these things is not like the other, and one of these things is actually really, really effective. So is researching and writing an outline hard work? Absolutely. But the beauty of it is when you do that work up front, what I call front loading all of the harder parts, or figuring out what you need to do, all the elements of the outline. When you front load all that work, it makes the writing really, really simple. Really simple, because you never ever get stuck with, Well, I don't know what to write, because it's all laid out there right in front of you in your roadmap for success, your detailed outline. It's beautiful. So, is using an outline the best way for everyone? Of course not. Absolutely not. There's actually some really famous authors that are quite proud of the fact that they've never used an outline and never intend to, and they're doing okay, right? Unlike me, they were able to make that work. But if you're writing your first book or your first couple of books, I would highly encourage you to start with the outline, because until you get a crystal clear idea of what the process is all about and how to make it work for you, there is no, speaking purely from personal experience, of course, there is no simpler, no easier way, no faster way of getting that first draft done. And that is the biggest chunk. That's the hardest part, getting that first draft done. There is no easier, faster, and simpler way of doing it than with a detailed outline. None. So, are you working on your first book? If you are, I would highly encourage you to learn from my mistakes instead of repeating them. Learn from my stupidity from past times and do something different, do something better. Start with a detailed outline, because it makes writing so much easier, so much more enjoyable, and takes away all of that stuff that people want to label as writer's block, right? You always know what to write no matter what's going on. It's beautiful. But a detailed outline is only one portion of your roadmap for success. It's one of 3, 4, 5 pieces, I guess. And if you want to learn how to design your own roadmap for success, like from blank page to here's the complete roadmap with everything I need to know about how to get my book written, then I would highly encourage you to join me tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific, when I'm going to be running my 5-day workshop called Unstuck, a free 5-day workshop for Christian nonfiction authors. And I'm going to walk you through this entire process of building the roadmap for success. So we're going to start off on Monday talking about mindset. In terms that the layout is very similar to the author challenge. I start off on Monday with mindset, Tuesday's tool set, Wednesday's skill set, Thursday is time frame, and then of course Fear-Free Friday. And on Fear-Free Friday, that's the day we're going to actually go through the entire process of building your complete detailed outline to be that, and that's the final portion of your roadmap for success. Because you need to first figure out, well, why am I doing this? Because without understanding deeply your why, it's going to be really hard to motivate yourself through those times where writing becomes a little bit challenging, or scheduling becomes a bit challenging, or whatever the roadblock that pops up for you may happen to be. And then we want to figure out things like manuscript math. And I love manuscript math, because what that allows me to do is to figure out, based on my own writing speed and how many minutes, hours a day I can write, I can figure out precisely how many days it's going to take me, how many days of writing it will take me to complete my first draft. And knowing that number is really, really empowering. So that's sort of a quick, brief overview of it. If you want to know more, I would highly encourage you to go to christianauthorunstuck.com. You can read through the page there, but click the button and join, and show up tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock with me. And if you can't be there for 10 a.m. because you're working or you've got a time conflict, the replays will be available in the private Facebook group that I've created just for this. And you can go through and download the success sheets, watch the videos, and do the work. And when you do, you will walk away from the end of next week with a complete, detailed roadmap for success that answers every single question about who, what, when, where, why, and how you're going to write this first draft. It's beautiful, and it's a fun process, and I love walking people through it, because I love watching people. I love it when someone is like, wow, I didn't know it could be this easy. Because it really can, it really can. So, again, christianauthorunstuck.com. Go sign up. And if you enjoyed today's video, as I always ask, please like and share it, and maybe leave a comment about what part you liked best. I would ask you to please connect with me on social media as well, sleekbio.com/Christopher. You can connect with me on LinkedIn there. You can connect with me on all the other social media channels. It's all listed there. And last but not least, I would love it if you'd enter my August giveaway. I almost said July. The August giveaway, for which the grand prize is a copy of the Scrivener writing tool. Amazing piece of software. Go to christopherdiamani.net/giveaway. All the information's there about that. And last but not least, be patient with yourself, and then make sure you're not sticking to rigid ideas just for the sake of holding on to them. Embrace your willingness to change and willingness to learn new things, because that's really, really important. And I would also say, thank you so much for watching and joining me in the 2-Minute Author Challenge, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Bye-bye.